Hello and welcome to the Unit Showcase. The Unit Showcase takes a look at different units that are part of different armies from different rule sets. In this video, we'll take a look at figures from AB Figures' British Napoleonic Infantry range. AB figures are 18mm in height, which makes it slightly bigger than the usual hobby standard of 15mm and smaller than the 20mm range, which means that once you've decided to paint AB figures, your whole army may end up coming from them as well. In this video, we'll give you a chance to have a look at as many different sculpts that AB figures has in their range for the British Army, in particular, the infantry figures. As you watch the video, you'll see the command bases, and then the infantry base on its own, and finally what all of them look like grouped into a unit. I hope you enjoy the showcase. This is the British Army during the Napoleonic period, which began with Napoleon's coup d'etat in 1799 and ends with Napoleon's defeat in 1815 at the Battle of Waterloo. The Napoleonic British Army saw action in both the Peninsular War and in Europe during this time. The British Napoleonic Army was forever immortalized in the film Waterloo. This was the 1970 film depicting the events leading to the Battle of Waterloo, which is by far the most famous battle for the non-Napoleonic gamer. This army in particular was built to play the Peninsular Campaign. There are a lot of videos made on YouTube that talk about the Napoleonic War and the era and the forces involved in the conflict. It may all seem confusing if you're new, and to you, I say just give the videos a chance and a watch. This could be the beginning of many nights painting rank and file with a smile on your face. When you build a British Napoleonic army, you can almost always be sure that your army size comparatively will be smaller as compared to your opponents, and you may find yourself building smaller armies as allies. This is true when playing in large army battles. The British Napoleonic army may find itself allied with Spanish allies or Portuguese allies in the Peninsular Campaign, for example. This can be great to get out the grind of painting red. Brandon painted some Portuguese to complement his British army. We did a video for this Portuguese unit. Painting red will be the order of the day when painting a British Napoleonic army. The British overall colour of red was used simply because the red came from the madder red dye, which was cheap at the time. This made it economical when deciding to unify the army under one uniform colour. The decision to go red was done in 1645 during the English Civil War, when Parliament chose to go with one single colour for their army. While it may seem like the whole army is uniformed, it is interesting to note that every regiment had its unique features, not just in facings, but in lacing designs and buttons. However, at this scale, even the mighty AB figures could not sculpt that much detail. If you start down the rabbit hole of getting your armies painted right, you'll probably be surprised at where you may end up. When Brandon first started painting this army, he was getting into Napoleonic, so he spent a lot of time researching the army. This, I must say, is one of the joys and equally the horrors of painting historical armies, especially the Napoleonic era. I know players who suffer from painting paralysis just trying to figure out the colours for the facings and the regiments. If I were to offer any advice to ease the pressure and helping you to get on with it, I would recommend painting the regiment as you see them on the box of figures that you got. Or, if your figures came without a box, paint them looking like the first regiment or uniform you come across when you do a general search for British Napoleonic Infantry. While painting a first regiment, you'll probably find yourself researching more and more, and finally, retrofit the regiment you've already painted into a more recognizable one. These models were painted with Valier model color, Valier model air, and the army painted dip was used to give the army a unified tone and shade. The detail on the models make dipping a good method, as the dip sticks to the model rather well. Using this means the process of finishing each unit is much faster. However, I still think a little bit more care and a little bit more patience is required to get the models to come out looking just like these. If you're new, remember that, well, Laisu was also once new. The flags and the standards of these units were also given an extra touch, giving them a dynamic pose by carefully curling and bending the flags to offer a very exciting base to look at. Once the painting is done, most new players find themselves at the impasse on how to base the figures. For Laisu, he went with basing his figures to play Field of Glory Napoleonics, which you can see here. New players that come to my store ask me how to base their figures. There are two ways to go about this. One is to choose a popular Napoleonic rule set for your scale, get it, and agree to base according to those sets guidelines. The second is a bit of work, as this requires you to perhaps have a look on YouTube for playthroughs or battle reports and choose the game according to how you like the game flow, and then go ahead, buy the rule set and base them accordingly. As painting the miniatures will take some time, especially for 15 and 18mm as showcased here, by the time you're done with one unit, you'll probably already know which rule set works for you. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and recommend Warlord Games' Black Powder. The rule writers state in their rule set that as long as both players agree on the basing and scale, there should be no problem playing the rule set. This is excellent for new players and players getting into the Napoleonic game. Later, of course, you may find other rule sets with their different nuances and general feel. I like the look of these infantry units and I like AB figures and the quality of the minis. I'm glad that Laisu put enough effort to make the sculpts look great. There are still a few more units to this army that I've yet to cover, but I want to put those in another video. I hope you enjoyed the showcase and the little bit of rambling that came with it. Do like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.